one of those sharings is this past Memorial Day weekend. I don't know what all of you did, but I know what many of us did. We went to Gitanagari, very wonderful place, and had a very nice retreat. And the theme of the retreat was reflections and lessons from Ramayana. And one of the presentations I made during that Memorial Day weekend is, this is a rerun. Some of you that were there, that's okay. Hearing the pastimes of the personality of Godhead again and again is always very wonderful. Now, I'd like a quick question. Besides that, could something be done with the child that's making noise? Because I get distracted when I hear children do what children sometimes do, make the noises that children make. Mothers, if you have a child that's being a little noisy, it's okay. Take the child out of the room and they can be as noisy as they like. And I'm going to wait until that happens. Coming in, there's a lot of children. There's a lot of families with some very small children, part of this community. Is there anybody here that needs a little introduction to Hanuman and Ramayana and all of that? I see a few Western people here. Anybody needs a little introduction? Because otherwise I'll assume you have an ABC. You needed a little introduction. Okay. You know who is Krishna, right? You don't know who is Krishna? No? You do have an idea. Yes, no, maybe. Oh, you do. Okay. I'm looking at the gentleman in the back because he raised his hand too. You have an idea who is Krishna. So, Ramachandra, my dear friend, I'm looking. Let's have some eye contact. No, right in front of you. Ramachandra is one of the the avatars. Everybody knows the word avatar these days. So, avatar of Krishna, who appeared long, long ago in a previous age and performed wonderful pastimes. And, well, we'll hear quickly, that's a preview of what happened. There was a bad, you know, always the good guys and the bad guys. So the bad guy was Ravana. And he was really bad. And he was terrorizing not just a group of people on Earth, he was terrorizing the universe. He was a very powerful personality. And the demigods approached Lord Vishnu, help! And he said, I'll help. I'll appear in this world and take care of Ravana. And could you please assist me? Here's how you can assist me. You, please, create offspring that have the same powers as you and have abilities as you, and they can do mystical things like you can do, but they don't appear like that. In fact, I will appear as a human being, and your offspring can appear as monkeys and bears and entities because Ravana is going to be killed by them. So one of those monkeys was Hanuman. You've heard his name. Okay, good, good. So this is about Hanuman and a little bit leading up to Hanuman's celebrated leap, because he's mystical, he has powers, to leap across all the way from the southern tip of India to Lanka or Ceylon, which is, according to Ramayana, the story of Ram's pastimes, 800 miles, and he could do it. That's a big jump. Anybody can do a broad jump at 800 miles. That's Hanuman. So we're going to hear about that crossing of the ocean and some obstacles that he met. So it's not exactly within Ramayana, but the commentators on Ramayana have indicated that the obstacles he met are obstacles that we may also meet in our life when on a mission of life on behalf of the Supreme Lord to accomplish something as a service to the Supreme Lord. There may be obstacles. Generally, there's obstacles. And so that's the topic this evening, or this afternoon, meeting 4 specific obstacles and how he did it. That's our topic. This is a nice painting. I like this nice painting of Hanuman. He has nice Vaishnav tilak. And here's a little summary. Hanuman is the greatest devotee of Rama, Lord Ramachandra. He introduced Rama to Sugriva. So I can't go through all of this for your benefit, but these are, my friend, these are some, could the person in front of you just move a little bit this way? No, not behind you. Yes, a little bit. Just so we can have some eye contact. So I'll get acknowledgement that, what's going on? Or, oh yeah, okay. I'm going to mention some names. People that are familiar with Ramayana know very well the details. So I don't have time to retell the whole of Ramayana because we'd be here too many hours. So he introduced Ram to Sugriva. Sugriva was a king, a Vanar, a monkey, that had a problem. His brother usurped, kidnapped his wife, as happened to Ram. So Hanuman was the intermediary to bring Sugriva in touch with Ram. He flew to Lanka. That's what we're going to be speaking about primarily. He gave Ram's message to Sita, because Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, the bad guy. And he warned Ravana. There's some detail. He wholeheartedly accepted the defection of Vibhishan. Vibhishan was a good guy. He was a brother of Ravana, but he was the opposite of his character. He was a very elevated person. And he defected from Ravana's side when he tried to advise him, and Ravana threatened his life, and so he left. When Vibhishan came to take shelter of Ram, there was like, hey, I don't trust him, and all this kind of thing. And Hanuman was silent. When it called upon, he said, Ram's already accepted him. Why is there any discussion? And he explained why. So Hanuman is very wise. He was sent there's a big battle against Ravana, and he was sent by Ramachandra and by the royal physician there, the Ayurvedic physician, to get herbs that he needed to bring Lakshman back to life. And in the last, when they got back to Ayodhya, Bharata is one of Rama's brothers. When he was away for 14 years in the forest, Bharata took the position of ruling the kingdom. And he said, if he doesn't come back in 14 years, I'm going to end my life by burning my body in fire. Hanuman came just in the nick of time, told him the whole story of that Ram had passed through for 14 years. Bharata was in tears, and he protected Bharata from wrongfully taking his life. Ram's on his way. He'll be here shortly. Hang in there. So he did lots of nice things. And the next slide is a painting of Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya, as you look behind Madhvacharya, you see Hanuman and Bhima. Hanuman, you know. Bhima is one of the 5 Pandavas. Yes? Yes. So Bhima's father was Vayu. Hanuman's father was Vayu. And somehow, and I don't know the history, but similarly, Madhvacharya had that connection with Vayu. So being Madhvacharya wrote many things. Great preceptor in our disciplic line. Okay, he, in one of his writings, explains that Hanuman was on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. But he wasn't just on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. He was with Arjuna, protecting Arjuna. So Madhvacharya wrote that when Krishna was speaking to Arjuna, he was actually speaking to Hanuman. Because it wasn't just, something stitched onto a flag. He was personally there. And he's a great devotee, and Krishna was wanting to give him that message. So now Hanuman's overcoming obstacles, the 4 obstacles when reaching Lanka. So here's a little background. This is a painting showing various demigods offering prayers to Vishnu, who's at the center towards the top. And their request was, help. Please help, please deal with Ravana, because we can't stop him. And he agreed. He informed through Lord Brahma, very similar to Krishna's appearance, prior to Krishna's appearance. Brahma was told, please convey to the demigods that they should assist me. I will appear, I reassure you, but they should come to assist me so they can take part in Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. And so they did. Again, the instruction was, create offspring such that your offspring will have powers like yours. They may appear to be ordinary, like monkeys and so forth, but they're mystical beings. So the technical term is angsa. Angsa means an expansion, or one might say, otherwise, Shakti. The Shakti of the demigods, or an angsa of the demigods, was invested in their offspring. You with me? Good. So it's not that they became. The demigods created offspring. That means there's a jiva inside the body of a vanara, a monkey. And on top of that, there's some Shakti, or an angsa of the demigod, invested in that living entity. Because eventually, when Ramachandra's pastimes are over, they return to their position in the heavenly realm. The angsa goes back to that from which the angsa came, the demigod. And of the various demigods, one of them was Vayu. There's a long description, which we're not going into. And his offspring was Hanuman. And Hanuman had powers like Vayu. One of those powers is he could fly through the air, because Vayu is the god of air. So, little boy, he's hungry, he sees some fruit up in the sky. It wasn't a fruit up in the sky, it was the sun. So he jumped to get the fruit. And as he's traveling and traveling and traveling and traveling and traveling, reaching for the sun, there's some details, leaving out the details. Indra wanted to stop him. You can't grab the sun. So what did he do? In his hand, the carrier of Indra is an elephant. Indra shows up in Krishna's pastimes too. Airavata. Airavata is the name of the elephant. So it looks like a sword in his hand, but it's meant to be a thunderbolt. And he threw his thunderbolt and hit Hanuman in the jaw, as you see. And that stopped Hanuman from going closer to the sun. And when his jaw was hit, he fell back to the earth. And when he fell back to the earth, he fell. And Vayu, his father, was very angry. There's another painting that shows Vayu was following because his little son was maybe at risk. And sure enough, Indra hit him with a thunderbolt. So Vayu became angry. And what this is, I'm telling this part because it's important for Hanuman's jump across the sea. So he became angry and he withheld the flow of air through the whole universe. And as the air through the whole universe was being checked by Vayu, then everyone was suffocating. We can't breathe, we can't breathe. So they went to Brahma, help. So what did Brahma do? Brahma descended to where Hanuman had fallen and brought him, just by touching him, brought him back to a conscious state. And he offered benedictions, and he asked all the demigods, you please offer benedictions. This painting is showing he fell on a mountain or a cave in a mountain. So various demigods, this is important, various demigods gave this benediction, this power, this strength, this capacity. He was like Superman or super monkey, a super person. And Vayu was now pleased. Vayu allowed the air circulation to continue through the universe, and everything was nice for a while. However, little children, what to speak of little monkeys, do monkey business. They get mischievous, and he was doing naughty things. It's shown in this painting. And one of the persons who he was being naughty with was the rishis, the sages that were doing austerities and performance of yagyas, and he would do different things, throwing water on their yagya, and you can see he would down in the lower left, he's pulling a rishi's beard while he's doing meditation. It was a naughty little Hanuman. On the strength of the gods' blessings, Hanuman had become fearless, even as a young child. He played in the hermitages of the rishis, mischievously throwing about their paraphernalia and stopping their sacrifices. So they had to check him. So this is important. The rishis uttered a curse. Hanuman, you're going to forget all these powers that were invented. They didn't withdraw the powers, but you're going to forget them. Only when you hear your powers described by another will you again remember them. So he became nice, little monkey. And when he grew up, he entered into the service of Sugriva, became one of Sugriva's ministers. It isn't detailed, but just before his leap across the ocean, it's indicated that he was trained by the sun god Surya in detail. Vedic wisdom, Sanskrit, proper culture, everything. He was very sophisticated personality. So, skipping a lot of Ramayana, there was a point in time when Ram, Lord Ramachandra, and Sugriva had made a friendship, a vow of friendship. Ramachandra helped Sugriva get back his kingdom and his wife. Now it's Sugriva's turn to help Ram get back Sita, because that was the pact, that was the commitment to one another. The rainy season passed. Sugriva called his massive, thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of Vanara soldiers and gave directions that they would go in the 4 directions, come back within a certain period of time with a report. Did you find Sita? The search was, where's Sita? Where's Sita? So Hanuman went in the southerly direction, as did Jambavan. You'll see his picture shortly. Jambavan is a bear. Okay, and the son of Vali, his name was, starts with an A, Angada, and a whole bunch of others. And they got all the way down. Many interesting things happened, but they got all the way down to the southern tip of India, and they hadn't found Sita. So Angada decided, time has lapsed, we can't go back and tell Sugriva we couldn't find her. Sugriva will be, mean, and he'll kill us. So I'd rather just die right here. So he decided, in that mood, to just sit down by the seashore and fast until death. And then all the other Vanaras did the same, except for one. Hanuman didn't go along with that idea. And up on a peak, a nearby mountain, was a vulture. Those of you familiar with Ramayana, you know that one of the persons who gave up his life to protect Sita when she was being kidnapped was Jatayu. Sampati was Jatayu's elder brother, and Jatayu didn't know because he hadn't seen Jatayu for a long time. But he had lost the capacity of his wings to fly. How did that happen? Sampati tells his story. One time, the two brothers, flying high and high, got very close to the sun, and Sampati, the elder brother, was very concerned that his younger brother might be burned by the sun, so he stretched his wings to protect his younger brother Jatayu, and his wings burned. He fell crashing to the ground. And so since that time, he couldn't fly. And when he saw all those Vanaras sitting by the side of the ocean, fasting till death, he thought, lunch. Fantastic. He's vulture. So he kind of hopped his way down, because he couldn't fly, closer to where they were. And he heard them speaking amongst themselves, and he heard the name of his brother, Jatayu. Wow, these people, these Vanaras, they know my brother, Jatayu. And so he came closer and asked, tell me, how do you know Jatayu? And then they started telling the story of how they know Jatayu and what their mission was, and their mission was to find Sita. But Jatayu had given up his life in the course of protecting Sita when Sita was kidnapped, and they were told that Ravana had headed in a southerly direction. That's where they came, in the southerly direction. Hearing that his brother had died, he felt great grief. He requested them to assist him. This one shows he's a much bigger bird. And he wanted to offer oblations of water to the departed soul of his brother, like a ritual on behalf of his brother. And while there, he started telling more of his story. And in his story, when he had fallen down on the Vindhya hills, he didn't want to continue his life. What's the use of being a vulture? I can't even fly around, and I don't know if I'm going to ever see my brother again. And so he decided, he saw on the mountainside a rishi. Rishi means a sage, named Chandrama. Chandra, it's almost like Rama backwards. Ramachandra is Chandrama. Chandrama. So he asked Chandrama for his blessings. I want to give up my life because this and that. And the rishi said, no. I have the power, I can restore your wings, but I'm not going to do that. Because instead I'll give you this benediction. Very soon, some monkeys will arrive to this very spot. They'll be searching for Lord Ramachandra's divine consort, and you can assist them in finding where is Sita, and then your power of flight will come back. So Sampati told them all of the story, that his assignment from Rishi Chandrama was to assist them in finding Sita. Because vultures are known to have very good eyesight, he sat by the edge of the sea, and he could see, very hard to see how he could see 800 miles, but he could see Sita in Lanka. She's there. She's in the Ashok garden outside the palace of Ravana, and his wings restored as he was speaking, and he gave the distance that they had to travel, And as they Vanaras, so Sampati's gone, they now know Sita is over there on the other side of it, in the midst of the sea. And so the Vanaras were having some discussion about who can jump all the way, find Sita, verify, reassure her Ramachandra's coming, and then come back. The only one that could do this was Hanuman. But remember, Hanuman had forgotten. This is important. And the one that knew that Hanuman had forgotten was Jambavan. There you see, there's Jambavan the bear. And 100 yojanas, that's 800 miles, and Hanuman says, you forgot. But and let me remind you, you have all these powers. And the Rishi said you wouldn't remember till someone reminded you, so I'm now reminding you. You can do it, Hanuman, you can do it. Hanuman, you can do it. So as he heard, he started to remember. And very quickly, his body started to get big and bigger and gigantic form, because he has mystic powers invested in him by his father, Vayu, under the order of Lord Vishnu to do this. So those of you familiar with Ramayana, this is, just to warm up, this is the end of Kishkinda Kanda. In the Bhagavatam is cantos, in Ramayana is kandas, and the Kishkinda Kanda has to do with Ram meeting the Vanaras and getting this far to the shore of the ocean. And then the next is Sundarakanda. Sundarakanda is, Sundara means beautiful. Sundara, beautiful. It's about Hanuman and his beautiful activities to serve Ram very faithfully. Some of you are a little familiar, probably much more than I am, familiar with a very celebrated commentator in the Sri Vaishnava line on Ramayana. Perhaps the most celebrated commentator is Govindaraj. And he has this teaching, very extensive, that one of the things is each of the kandas is indicating just like the Bhagavatam, the lotus feet, the first two cantos, etc., the form of Krishna. So Ramayana is the form of Lord Ramachandra, starting with the childhood pastimes, then going to Ayodhya, Ayodhya Kanda. He goes to the forest, Aranya Kanda. He meets the Vanaras, Kishkinda Kanda. Then comes this one. That's the Sundara Kanda. It's Hanuman's leap across the ocean, which is our topic. And then the battle, the Yuddha Kanda, and then the concluding Uttarakhanda section, which makes the form of Lord Ram in story form, but it is literally his spiritual form. So what does Hanuman do? He is given this assignment by Jambavan, the eldest amongst them. He offers prayers to the sun god who was his guru. This is the section of Ramayana that says the sun god was his guru, who taught him everything, and of course his father. And some very nice paintings that he's preparing himself spiritually, meditating and offering prayers to both, again, the sun god and Vayu, the wind god. And he prepares himself in this nice text. So it's not a good idea to have PowerPoints that are text heavy, but I did it anyways because it's so nice, just to read his preparation. So when you have a service assignment, prepare yourself. Don't just run off, because you're dependent upon descending mercy, whatever strength or ability or intelligence or anything you may have. So this is a very nice section I like. Hanuman expanded his body to gigantic proportions. Moreover, while grabbing onto the mountain with his hands and feet, he inadvertently crushed many deer underfoot. Remember, his body got really big. Pausing for several moments, Hanuman concentrated, composing his mind in preparation for the great leap. Because of the weight of his huge body, the entire mountain began to shake. Thus large snakes, while vomiting fire from their mouths, bit into the rocks, causing them to split into thousands of flaming fragments. The poetic imagery is fantastic. The Vidyadharas flew up into the sky to witness the spectacular jump. Thereafter, Hanuman crouched down, summoning all his energy, and the mountain began to crumble as spurts of water gushed forth from the immense pressure. Gandharva couples that had been sporting in the heavenly region, along with numerous rishis that resided there, quickly fled the mountain out of fear. Hanuman then declared to the monkeys, "Either I shall bring back Sita, or I shall uproot the entire city of Lanka along with Ravana." Chivalrous talk. He didn't do either one. But he was very determined. So there's a celebrated verse, a very celebrated verse that I like a lot. When you have some challenging service ahead of you, you can meditate on this, or even if you don't know the Sanskrit. Hanuman, who raised his head and neck, intending to cross the formidable ocean which no one else could accomplish, looked like a leading bull. It's a celebrated verse. So some more text. Hanuman drew in his breath and tensed his muscles. All of a sudden he sprang into the air like an arrow shot from the bow of Lord Ram. This is another celebrated verse. But he's not forgetting, he's fixed, and he doesn't get unfixed throughout dealing with obstacles. That's really good. It's one thing to deal successfully with obstacles. It's another thing to not forget who you are, what the mission of your life is, while dealing effectively with obstacles through in the midst of all of that. That's Hanuman. Due to the force of Hanuman's jump, all the trees on the peak of Mount Mahendra were uprooted and thrown into the sky. In reply to their exclamations of wonder, Hanuman soared like a huge cloud and stretched out his tail. As Hanuman sailed through the heavens, the uprooted trees followed in his wake and then plummeted into the ocean. Simultaneously, various colored flowers that were blown from their branches fluttered down and scattered over the surface of the water, creating a particularly beautiful sight. So this is just poetry of Ramayana. So now back to the paintings. There's that little bump in the middle, that's Mount Mahendra. And there's demigods showering flowers from the sky. And there's Hanuman making his leap. And another painting showing, looks like he's going for a swim, but he's flying up in the air. There's Jambavan the bear, and various Vanaras saying, "Go, Hanuman, go." There he is with his tail stretched out. Celebrated event. Another one, off he goes. Another one, off he goes. Another very different style painting, there he goes. And this is the last of the artwork ones. He's fixed on one thing. Ram, 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 serving Ram, finding Sita. That's the assignment, find Sita. Then comes an obstacle. Mainaka Mountain rises from the sea. Mainaka Mountain has, you see in the top, there's this gold color because there's a golden coloration on the top of the mountain. And with a great roar, this image of a mountain came right in front of him. And the Ramayana, seawater falling with a crash on all sides, shining beautifully like many suns. And all of a sudden, Kinnaras and Nagas started showing because it just came out of the sea. Now here's an important lesson of culture. An important lesson of culture. I'll say it simply, then we'll show you the Sanskrit. It's Sanatana Dharma, according to this verse. Sanatana Dharma, that when you received an act of kindness from someone, you must acknowledge it, and with gratitude, do something to acknowledge that gratitude that someone has done for you. So here's the Sanskrit. krite cha prapti kartavyam esha dharma sanatana. Very simple. It's right from the Ramayana. One should acknowledge a favor and try to pay it back. This is Sanatana Dharma. So Mainaka had received a favor, and the ocean personified, Samudra, had received a favor. So Samudra, ocean personified, saw Hanuman zooming across the sea, and he went to Mainaka and said, could you do a favor? Because I have been done a favor by Ramachandra's ancestor. Ramachandra's ancestor, one of Ramachandra's ancestors, was King Sagara. Without all the detail, King Sagara had done some service for the ocean. What was that? When Agastya Muni had withdrawn all the water from the ocean, Sagara refilled it. And Sagara, in searching for the horse from the sacrifice, without all the details of this nice Puranic history, he expanded the field of the ocean. So the ocean had been done some service by Sagara, and since Hanuman was in the service of Ram, who was an ancestor of Sagara, the ocean personified wanted to do some service to reciprocate, because it's dharma to do that. So he decided to do that reciprocation of gratitude of some service received by approaching Mainaka, because he knew that Mainaka had also received some mercy from Hanuman's father. And who is Hanuman's father? Vayu, thank you. So Hanuman's father was Vayu, and Vayu had done some nice service for Mainaka. So Samudra had entered into the sea, or he was in the sea, and approached Mainaka and said, long, long ago, Vayu saved you. Vayu saved you because there was a period of time in Satya Yuga when mountains had wings. What? Mountains had wings? Mountains had wings. And not only they had wings, they could fly. Not only they could fly, but when they came in for a landing, sometimes they crushed living entities that were underneath where they landed. And the living entities went and complained to the demigods, help. So Indra became angry with the mountains. So Indra did the Indra. He got his thunderbolt weapon and used his thunderbolt weapon to cut off the wings of the mountains so they couldn't go crushing people. Well, Vayu, the wind god, had made a friendship with Mainaka. So when Indra started going after Mainaka, Vayu made an arrangement through movements of air that Mainaka could enter into the sea. And the sea personified, Samudra, reminded Mainaka, because you landed in a place where it blocked the hole, this is from Valmiki Ramayana, it blocked the hole that goes between the lower regions, where bad living entities reside sometimes, and this earthly realm. Because you blocked, Indra said, that's very good, just stay there. And Indra left him alone. So, because this is the son of Vayu, and you've received some benefit from Vayu, you should repay that benefit, because it's Sanatana Dharma. You see the Sanskrit at the top. And a similar understanding is found in Mahabharata. What's that similar understanding in Mahabharata? Because Mahabharata took place after Ramayana. In some sections of Mahabharata, there's narrations of episodes from Ramayana, or from Ram's pastimes. Yes? Yes. And one of those is in Mahabharata, Lakshmana is confronting Sugriva Lakshmana is confronting Sugriva for being ungrateful. The opposite of the dharma is being adharma. And this adharma of being ungrateful is, after he got back his kingdom and his wife, he was neglecting his pledge to Ram and reciprocating with the kindness that he'd received from Ram. He was ungrateful. So here's the Sanskrit from the verse in Mahabharata that says the same thing, just the reverse. Lakshmana quoted, he's confronting Sugriva, quoting Lord Brahma, who became angry upon seeing an ungrateful person. Atonement had been prescribed as beneficial for one who kills a brahmana, who drinks liquor, and who commits theft, and one who violates a sacred vow, but not for one who is ungrateful. Kritagne. So the positive and the negative. Gratitude is a symptom of sanatana dharma, and expressing it, repaying the kindness that one has received. And the absence of that is the ungrateful. So the ungrateful person, there's no atonement for such a person. He's admonishing, shaking his finger. He's got his bow and arrows too. Sugriva, you're ungrateful. You've received and you're not repaying. There's no atonement for you. So that's the two favors. One was Samudra, another was Mainaka. So Mainaka had received something, so Mainaka said, sure, I'll do some nice service for Hanuman. And here, I was ahead of myself. This is Mainaka showing he's got wings, but not only has wings, but he on top of the mountain, the Ramayana says he assumed a human form, stood on the peak, and requested Hanuman to rest a while. Well, Hanuman isn't going to rest a while, but he's a cultured person, so he's been offered. Sometimes you're a nice devotee, and you've done something nice for somebody, or your relative did something nice for somebody, or something like that, and somebody wants to offer some kindness of gratitude, but you're fixed on a mission. What are you going to do? What's the cultured thing to do? Well, Hanuman's going to show us what the cultured thing to do. While gracefully receiving another's expression of gratitude, overly indulging oneself in these gestures causes impediments in bhakti, like one can become complacent. No, that's not Hanuman, but he's a cultured person. He says to Mainaka, I made a vow to Ram and Sugriva, that's way back in Kishkinda. I have to find Sita. So I must finish my work before the day ends. Before the day ends means, for Rakshasas, when the night falls, they become very strong. So I have to reach there before the night falls. So thanks, but no thanks. I can't stop. So what did he do? He has culture. To maintain etiquette, Hanuman descended from his flight, gently touched Mainaka, thus blessing and respecting both Mainaka and in turn Samudra, the ocean. So this is an example. Commentators speak. It's an example of mode of goodness obstacle. When there's mode of goodness, there's fruits of mode of goodness, and the fruits of mode of goodness is Janma, Aishvarya, Shutra, and Shri. So in this case, he wants to have nice fruits and nice roots and nice place to come and relax. Before you continue, you have a long journey ahead of you. So when the fruits of piety come, complacency can become the way of life, or at least detract you from what your higher mission is. It can wither enthusiasm, at least complacency So this is a mode of goodness distraction. What's the fruit of mode of goodness is happiness and knowledge. We know from Bhagavad Gita, happiness and knowledge. And that can be distracting if you try to be the enjoyer. We had this discussion yesterday evening. You can be the enjoyer of that fruits of piety because, well, after all, I'm deserving. And it isn't even in this case, it can be from his father, Vayu, did something that then some kindness comes back to him. The fruit of his father's kindness is coming back to him. So now here comes some opulence because your father was pious and now you have some opulence coming your way. So be careful. I mean, don't be disrespectful to the persons who are instruments of that, but stay fixed on what your higher purpose of life is, while being appropriately respectful. Piety may give us things. Receiving things can make you lazy. So this is a very simple way. Maya tells us take it easy. We say take it serious. So be cultured. When some good fortune comes your way, don't just dismiss it, but make sure that you maintain your purpose with enthusiasm and determination while being cultured and respectful and not impersonal. Nice lesson, isn't it? That's an obstacle. I'm at slide 43, and bell is ringing. Not yet. Keep going. Shall I listen to him? Okay. So here's another example, a very nice principle. Some of you know Brihat Bhagavatamrita. I was very surprised yesterday evening when one young boy, I don't know how old he was, 8, 10 years old, he knows Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So some of you may not. It's a wonderful book written by Sanatana Goswami, and one part, the second part, is picturing Gopakumar, who is receiving, as you see right here, his mantra in his left ear from his guru. And as he's going on chanting his mantra, received from his guru, all kinds of amazing things happen that could be very easily distracting and make one complacent and so on. But there's a certain passage I like very much. Wanting to avoid being ungrateful, Gopakumar never stopped chanting. He might justify abandoning the mantra only after attaining its final goal. If he were to stop chanting before then, he would not discover the mantra's full benefits. Thus, to stop the chanting prematurely would amount to ingratitude, for without having bothered to receive the mantra's benefit, how could he properly acknowledge them? Isn't that nice? Prabhus, not only keep chanting, but keep chanting until the fruit of chanting is part of your experience, so you can fully and properly acknowledge the gift that's been given. And that I could easily go off into half an hour talking about how fortunate we are and where we were before that fortune came, and to let that gratitude grow in your heart and receive the full benefit of the mantra chanting. Certainly don't slacken or become complacent. So that was an examination of Hanuman's character. So now the demigods are watching this, and the demigods are going, wow, Hanuman's good. But he's going to meet many challenges when crossing the ocean. And so they instigated the goddess Surasa, the mother of the Nagas, to examine his competence. So there you see Surasa down below, and there you see Hanuman flying up above. And they went to Surasa and asked Surasa to examine his competence. Yes, demigods are asking me. So what did she do? she raised her head above the water. So she's the goddess of the Nagas. We'll see a picture. She shows a personified form to Hanuman later. And she wants to check his prowess and intelligence. So Indra is the one that asked her, assume a form of a disfigured Rakshasi as big as a mountain, rise before Hanuman. So this main meaning of her name, Su, means very, Rasa. So distractions, demigods' distractions to take us away from what our purpose of life is. It's not totally different than benedictions, but sometimes it may appear as an obstacle. So she's making this obstacle, like sensual enjoyments that may come and have a devouring-like tendency. This is just, I don't know, I'll keep going. Time is moving. Time has a way of doesn't stand still. And I don't know if anybody's hungry, and I just keep going. Okay. I'm getting my signals. Surasa can also mean increasing material desires, because people do things to get motivated and do passionate things to get motivated, but so much energy is invested in doing those things to make one motivated, and you may be distracted from the purpose of life, the purpose of what your life is meant for. So that's the problem. And so with that comes prayasa. We know from Rupa Goswami's teachings, we have to avoid prayasa. So here she is, Surasa, assuming a Rakshasa-like form, gets really big, opens up her mouth really big, shows her fangs, and says, enter my mouth. He's not going to enter her mouth, but she says, you have to, because Brahma has granted me a boon, that none can come before me without being eaten. So there's the demigod, and Hanuman's a respecter of Dharma, demigod says. So she made her mouth really big, 8 miles. Hanuman became 16 miles. 20 miles, Hanuman became bigger than that. Bigger and bigger, it's a competition. This is mode of passion. And although Shurasa had challenged him, Hanuman maintained his goodness, and it says specifically, he was smiling. Prabhus, when you have a challenge and someone wants to devour you, keep smiling. How do you do that? You have all confidence that Ram will protect me, or Krishna will protect me. Smiling. He understands what's going on. So, but he's very intelligent. That was being tested, his capacity and his intelligence. So he has fixed out a very intelligent method. So big, and she gets so big. And Brahma's got a boon, or she's got a boon from Brahma. And so then he makes his body really, really small, enters her mouth, which was the promise, and then he comes out her ear. Pretty clever. And he says to Shurasa, I have honored Brahma's boon. Now please let me pass and fulfill my mission. I wish you well. With a smile. So the desire of the sages was, what's his capacity? He showed his capacity. And he showed his humility. And his humility, of course, his intelligence and mystic powers helped a lot too. But his humility countered her passion. Here's another painting. He entered her mouth and came out her ear. And then she, the Naga goddess, resumed her original form, praised Hanuman, blessing Hanuman that he would be successful. Now the application part, here's the application part. Sometimes in life, there's a very formidable obstacle that seems like it's going to prevent us from doing whatever we're supposed to be doing. Have you ever had that experience? I've had that experience a few times. few more times than I can want to remember. Sometimes it happens. So what do? Here's Hanuman's solution. Super soul. He didn't forget Krishna. Smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavya najatu chit. So in all circumstances, never forget Krishna, always remember Krishna. So he always remembered, and Super Soul gave him the intelligence what to do, because he had the power what to do. So this is Bhagavad Gita instruction. When you're so fixed in service, Krishna will always give you the intelligence, specifically how to come to him, or how to do your service. He stayed focused on his service, that the service that was assigned to him, find Sita. He wasn't interested in matching her power against his power. He could have done that. He could have smacked her. She's finished. He didn't do it. He was not prone to false ego and the worldly sense of doership. So he didn't himself become proud. Because we had the discussion yesterday evening. Does anybody know the source? Pride goeth before the fall. What's the source? Everyone's heard it, but where's it come from? Huh? Bali? Bible. Is it a biblical? Pride goeth, Old English, goeth before the fall. So, biblical. And it's true. So he didn't become proud, he didn't have false ego. He had lots of strength because he had a mission. He didn't want to get caught up in a battle with her. There's a very nice example, two very nice examples. Rupa Goswami was visited by a scholar. And the scholar went from place to place, and he wanted to find out the best scholar and challenge them and have a debate and be victorious. So what did Rupa Goswami did? Oh, you're such and such scholar. There's no way I can have a debate with you. So then you sign something that says you're defeated. Yes? So the point is don't become carried away by your intellect, your power, your strength, your ability, your influence, your this or that. You do what is needful so that the higher purpose that your life is meant for can be accomplished. It's a challenge. Life has its challenges. Here's one more reference. This is a Lutheran theologian. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So Hanuman has all of that. Now, obstacle number 3. This is a bad lady. Simhika. She wasn't, prompted. She wasn't a goddess prompted by Indra. Test the power and capacity of Hanuman. She wanted to eat Hanuman. And she had this mystic power that most people never even heard of before. She could capture her prey by capturing the shadow. So Hanuman's soaring over. This is the reference from Sundarakanda. He's soaring over the ocean, and all of a sudden his movement stopped. Like, what's going on? And looked around, and he couldn't move, He's Hanuman. What? And then he saw this Simhika had emerged from the sea, that she was holding her hand above his shadow so that he couldn't move. The Ramayana says he was flying so high, it's the same area, Bhuvar Loka, the area where the Siddhas and Charanas reside. He was really up there, and she still was able to capture his shadow. And then he remembered that he was told by Sugriva way back on the mountain in Kishkinda that when you travel south, here's what you're going to encounter. And he gave a different name than Simhika, Angaraka. which means very famous. She's a very famous personality who's wicked. And one of the things that she does, wickedness, is she captures people by this holding onto their shadow. And so here's another painting where she's holding onto the shadow, and this giant demoness looking. So he didn't have a discussion with her like he had with Shurasa, because she's not a passionate, she's an ignorant, wicked person. So what did he do? Very similar. He got bigger, her mouth got bigger. He got bigger, her mouth got bigger. He got bigger, her mouth got bigger. And then he suddenly became very small, entered her mouth, entered inside the vitals of her body, ripped her heart apart, and entered and exited through her chest. No dialogue. No nice negotiation talk. And the Devas, they knew she is a celebrated wicked person, and they saw Hanuman, and they exclaimed, Hanuman was created by Lord Brahma, of course by Vayu. Lord Brahma for the purpose of killing terrible Simhika. She had a bad reputation. So this is, we went through mode of goodness, mode of passion. Now this is mode of ignorance, obstacles. And in mode of ignorance, obstacles, they represent the personifications of prohibitions in bhakti, or sinful activity, the karmic activity, or feeling envy and enmity towards another who is successful. We had this a little bit last night where Vida was envious of Lakshman, and it caused him a problem, big problem. She had this power, chaya, grahi, that is very unusual. She could capture prey by capturing their chaya, which means shadow. And people that are envious and devious, they may attack when you don't even see them, and they don't want to be seen. They plot and scheme and do bad things. So Simhika represents the obstacles placed by the mode of ignorance. And Hanuman showed how wisely, don't mess, don't dilly-dally, deal strongly with forces of ignorance. I'm thinking of one or two right now as I'm speaking this. I won't go into the detail. A very strong leader saw, here's a person who's wicked. And he didn't harm the person, but he dealt with very strongly with the person. And it came out nicely. The person didn't have his heart ripped out, but he didn't mess. You have to be able to, like this Lutheran minister said, deal with the ones that you can deal with, and if it's necessary, deal very strong. Okay. Smartavyasta tatam Vishnu. All the while, in life, when you're meeting obstacles, whatever they may be, goodness, passion, ignorance, obstacles, whatever it happens, don't forget Krishna. Is that a signal that I should end? And I'm going to go through. There's lessons, and I'm going to go through because of time. The fourth obstacle, there she is. Look at this lady. Lankini, or the protectoress of Lanka. And just as Hanuman was entering, it had become night. There was a full moon that night, and he was checked by Lankini, hideous Rakshasi woman, the presiding deity of Lanka, or Maya. And so she struck him, told stop, and with her fist she hit him. So what did Hanuman do? Hanuman wasn't moved by her blow, but he hit her just hard enough so she would stop. Hanuman clenched his fist and hit her without full force because she's a woman. And when Hanuman struck her with his fist, she fell to the ground. And after some moments, she got up. And when she got up, she said so many nice things. She begged Hanuman to spare her. Here's another painting. Looks a little bit. She looks a lot bigger. And Hanuman's giving her a sacco. And Lankini revealed to Hanuman that Brahma had told her that the end of the Rakshasas would come soon after she was overpowered by a monkey. That time had clearly arrived. The words of Brahma could never prove false. The time for the destruction of Ravana and the Rakshasas was nigh. So she didn't further try to stop. She said, go ahead, go into the city, and she disappeared. Now, when she disappeared, she didn't just disappear. She went and told Ravana, this is what happened. Beware. Because she's a servant. But she knows what they, in course of time, the outcome. So Lankini is Maya Devi, or false ego, or being confronted by the bodily conception, or one who's totally absorbed in the bodily conception, personified by Lankini. And in the verbal exchange between them, the commentators have pointed out, she speaks about her bodily identification. She manifested her form as soon as she saw him. I am this body, aham, and what I survey is mine. I protect this entire city. The doer mentality comes next. I and mine, and I'm the doer. In obedience to the orders of the great demon King Ravana, I am protecting this unassailable city. Well, she was not able to withstand the power of Hanuman. Now, how did Hanuman get those powers? Go back and back, and it was given. How does anybody get anything to do anything? On the way over here, I was hearing the little history of the purchase of this temple, and it wasn't overnight, but many persons made big sacrifices. Probably some of you in the room, and some of the persons not in this room, and some endeavor. But when those endeavors are made in a focused manner for the pleasure of Krishna, Radha Gopi Ballabha, Gopi Jana Ballabha, then that's the right kind of endeavor. And Prabhupada did that again and again, again and again. I was told last weekend, or recently, there was the 50th anniversary of Radha Vrindavan Chandra. Coming up soon is in Boston, Radha Gopi Ballabha. Radha Gopi Ballabha, their 50th anniversary. In Chicago, this coming weekend, 50th anniversary. Now, that 50 is a long time to maintain, but to get to the stage where they maintain, there's a lot of sacrifice that went into establishing, and what to speak of maintaining, in service. And that sacrifice is good, but not like Lankini. So Hanuman is false ego. Take that. And commentators say, I'm almost done. Isn't that good news? You like it? Okay. Unwillingness of a conditioned soul to receive saintly association. The saintly association in this case is Hanuman, but false ego makes it, people become reluctant to receive saintly association. Now, what does saintly association do in that circumstance? Well, they try to win over the person that's reluctant. The reluctant person may be defensive or suspicious about the saintly person or the devotee that's come to their home or to their door, or distributing books or whatever. There's Rath Yatra coming up. I'm sure you'll meet some favorable people. I'm sure you'll meet the other kind too, and some of the on the fence sitters type of people. Like, what are you guys about? That's okay. We have a service to do. bring Lord Jagannath to the world, and etc., etc., the literatures. Really nice experience. Just coming to Detroit, we came by airplane, and there, I don't know what's going on, but there are a lot of people that as soon as they saw me, Tilak, Dhoti, big smile. I was like, what's going on? Not like I was expecting a scowl or something like that, but. And then one gentleman and his wife, he was dressed nicely. He didn't come right up to me, but he just, we're passing going to the baggage claim, a zillion people. And so that he would catch my attention with folded palms. He went, Pranam. So, Prabhu, you're doing something right here in Detroit. There's some friendliness. And continue giving in a nice way Krishna Bhakti to others. And that's your service, to receive and to give. And you're going to meet sometimes some people, the Lankini people that don't want. It's okay. Smile. And go to the next person and treat that person who said, get out of here or something. Or they had that expression on their face. To be respectful to them. And people aren't used to that when you continue to be respectful to them, even they're being nasty. Anyway, there's so many things about obstacles in life, and Lankini represents the false ego one. The false ego of others to obstruct the flow of devotional service. This is Hanuman's solution. After being repeatedly polite to Lankini, when she tried to forcefully harm Hanuman by slapping him hard, he acted strongly and effectively, only to ensure his mission could go on without hindrance. We don't go about hitting people, but when some very strong action is needed, I'll just share this with you and I'm going to end. I've been a pressure cooker for a while. Just before coming to Detroit, I was a witness on a witness stand. And I did a lot of preparation for being a witness on the witness stand. And what was the trial in court, there's some people, we have names for these kind of people, they stole Prabhupada's property. They stole ISKCON Inc. And it's a court battle, not a gun battle, a court battle over getting ISKCON Inc. back under its proper, without all the story. And there's an obstacle for you. You have to do something. You can't let people run away with Prabhupada's property. There's lot to say about it. And my challenge was to remain fixed in the mission was not. There's this saying: you may not approve of the behavior, but don't dislike the soul. Right? What's the saying go? Condemn the sin, but not the sinner. So, stealing Prabhupada's property, I'm sorry. Put your hand on the cookie jar. I'm going to slap you. So I was told by our attorney, who was fantastic. I mean, this is 2 days ago. Just this morning. 2 days. My testimony was 2 days ago. He said you were forceful and feisty. So I wrote back saying, was it too much? Just right amount, because he was harassing you, and you were being. So sometimes you have to be a little forceful with people that are, thieves or supporting. Anyway, so sometimes but if you're going to do that, make sure you're doing it with the right consciousness. Don't get caught up in the modes of nature, being forceful and be purposeful and appropriately for each circumstance. That flexibility on behavior and speech and even your emotional content is for one purpose, And when you get to that purpose, you're protected. Nothing can harm you. Okay, I'm going to end. Let's see what the last slide is. I think the last slide is, yeah, that same picture. Do we have, should we take some questions? Who's our timekeeper? I've gone way past time, I'm sure. But then there's many nice lessons of how, practically speaking, we can conduct our devotional service. We're not going to be flying over the ocean for 800 miles and meet Shurasa and Simhika and all this stuff, Lankini, but they represent something of this world, and how it's nice to see how Hanuman had very intelligent, very fixed. So let's see if there's some discussion. Meeting obstacles in life.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. When you specifically covered from mode of goodness to ignorance, I was thinking about Menaka mountain, talking about here Hanuman is showing the gratitude. I'm just thinking about my struggles on the gratitude part, that it lasts for a certain period of time. One should be grateful for whoever has rendered some service. One should be grateful for their entire life and lay down their life if it's needed.
Well, it depends on, lay down your life. That's a pretty strong statement.
Something.
So supposing somebody brought you a glove joint and you said thank you. You're gonna, yeah, so just be cautious. That's all. No.
I want to develop that quality. If someone did some tangible,
yeah, glove jammins are tangible.
How do I keep? How do I keep reminded myself of someone did something great to me?
Well, you know, it all comes back to one thing: your relationship with Krishna. And as much as you can be clear and stay clear about your relationship with Krishna, then you can. And if you don't have that fixity of who you are and what your purpose in life is, then it's going to be sometimes not. You're in the world of duality. So go to the realm of absolute. Your relationship with Krishna. That's your GPS destination. Well, the audience thinned out by less than half. But you're the stalwarts here. What you like to hear or something. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. How can you be Hanuman-like?
You talked about being forceful sometimes when necessary.
When necessary.
How can you be forceful without anger or something rising up in?
Same question, same answer. So just say positive and say negative. The positive, if you know who you are and who, at least destiny-wise or destination-wise, your mission in life is your relationship with Krishna. We say Krishna, the Supreme Person, the Absolute Truth. That's who you are in your mission. To the degree that you're fixed, you can experience and display variegated behavior, speech, emotion, and it's all in alignment with that one thing. Negative. If that's not fixed, you're subject to duality. Sometimes and sometimes. In the modes of nature, vasanas and what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
But, yeah. So the goal is to get there, and we're not there yet. So we're going to stumble sometimes because we're less than perfect beings. But just hit the reset. When that happens, what you do is this. We had this discussion just this morning. Brenda, we had this discussion just this morning. And that is, you want to hear the 4 R's?
Yep.
Very good. I'll tell them. Recognition. I just lost it. Regret. That's the second R. And this is so far it's just subjective, internal. No one knows that you've done the first 2, but you're feeling some regret. Recognition, regret, because you're introspective. Mode of goodness is introspection, and the regret. Then comes, the weightlifting. Reinstatement. No, rectification. Rectification is the next R. So, supposing you lost it, and supposing somebody was right next to you, you let him have it, and then reinstate. You just don't do it again. This happened to me. Really, it's a real simple one. But I was, I fly in airplanes, and I was next to a man that was grumpy. And I didn't even recognize, but from time to time, I moved my elbow on the armrest, and it hit his elbow. And the man snapped at me. And he did it. So but then, it got to, and the third time, I don't remember what he said, but I learned a lesson. And since then, I've been very conscientious to be very respectful of the person next to me, because they want the armrest too. And not only the armrest, but, then over the armrest and rubbing against them. And some people, it's like not a problem. This man, it was a problem. A grumpy man. So I now, it's sobering. I can, in one sense, I can apologize to the man, but I can also thank the man for helping me not unintentionally disturbing people when some people aren't disturbed, but some people may be disturbed. And so, I want to go find the man and thank him for being grumpy and helping me, not offend other people unintentionally. Well, life is like that. You don't always get, the good feedback by a grumpy man who'll let you know, look it, priest, you're disturbing me. Anyway, so the 4 R's. You want to hear me again? Recognition, regret, rectification, reinstatement. Jai Dvaita Swami Uvacha. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai.